Alright, so I thought I'd go ahead and start making continuing a video series off of this, even though I never started one. Okay, so here I'm throwing the fender pan back on, which I had everything done in the rear end that needed to be done, which was just a sight glass tube that needed to be replaced. So it's done, fender pan's back on, hooking up the lights, everything's ready to go. Next is the intake manifold, which is the reason it got brought into the shop. Okay, so I've just got to thread chase these. And then this thing's back together besides putting that on, so this entire rear end is basically done. Now I just got to focus on what's in front of it. It should be done once that manifold's in, though. It'll be a good mowing tractor, because I hope to take this to wherever I go live next. Use this as my main mowing tractor and snowplow tractor. Of course, now I've got to remember where all this went. Some of it's obvious, some of it's not. And then, of course, here's my book. Or remnant of the book, and then like this is the manual for my super. No, that's out of the owning book too. I got a little bit of sorting to do, but now I gotta figure out what does what, and we'll get this sorted here before long. First things first, I need some heat considering it's only like 10 degrees out. So this thing needs diesel, and we'll fire it up. It's a brand new heater. These things are handy. That away she goes. Okay, so I haven't been filming because that thing's obnoxiously loud, and I don't really feel like putting any extra music in the video alongside the time lapses. So I'm going to do it step by step for the moment, and I'll just walk you through what I've done. Currently, I've just basically gone through, made sure how everything works. I've mocked it all up. Haven't tightened it up, obviously, because you need to torque these down when you put them on. I have the gaskets here. I had towels sitting on the ports. It's been sitting for a long time, so obviously you want to keep those plugged if you're going to do that. Same goes for like that project and whatever else have you. Don't mind the mess. We got to clean that still. Good suggestion would be to take the muffler off, but I can bend it a little bit because it's a new muffler. I don't really worry about screwing it up too much. Just be careful when you do it. But I've basically thread chased all these holes. Got to be careful because it's aluminum. Made sure they were all good. Did the same to pretty much all the bolts that I'm going to be working with. I have to do these fellas next, I believe. I think these are the intake manifold bolts, and then these are the exhaust manifold bolts, which kind of, that's surprising considering that those are smaller than those. But I guess that's how that works. I got to blow this out and clean the carburetor out because there's stuff in it, and I kind of figured that would end up happening, so I need to clean that out. Make sure this is clean because I don't want it sucking down anything that I don't want in the engine. That'd be very bad. I probably better check the gas tank. I got a new filter for it inside the house, so I should probably go in and run and grab that, put a new filter on it, and then make sure the battery's good before I crank it. Check the hydraulic fluid. Before this thing becomes a consistent mower machine, however, I have to take those two hydraulic hoses off down there to send off to the Deere dealer and get them repacked and or replaced. Get new O-rings basically put in them because they leak like a sieve, as shown by the fact that there's two droplets under each side. And I just moved this not too long ago, and I haven't run it. All I did was turn the wheel a little bit, and that was it. So it's leaking pretty bad. So that needs to be fixed. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and blow this out, clean it out. I'll get back to you whenever I'm ready to put it all together, and we'll torque it. Okay, so I'm going to put it in there, thread them up till they're hand tight, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. Couldn't get the camera out. That, and I had a couple other people in here, so I couldn't really do that. But everything's basically put back together that it needs to be functional with. So these are torqued down. This is tightened up as tight as it can be against the intake manifold here with the gasket underneath it properly seated. Throttle's on, carburetor's on. Fuel line now, however, considering that shit is 25 years old, I basically about threw myself back there trying to pull this off of the fuel filter because I had to change it. And lo and behold, looky what Chinese chintzy shit broke now. Boy, if it ain't a relapse of the last one I had. Getting bad signs. But at any rate, besides that other problem now that you guys get to watch, basically when you want to put this on, clean your surfaces for your manifold where your gasket's going to sit. Just be careful because it's aluminum. It's scratches and gouges easy, so you just be careful when you clean it. Specifications for the muffler and exhaust pipe, all that good stuff. That's going to be your fella right there. And then intake manifold for P218, P220 is going to be that guy right there. Now I went up in somewhat sequential order. I went to 30 Newton meters and sorry, not 30 Newton meters. Jesus, that's way too much. For the intake manifold, it's set for 53 pound-inch or inch-pounds, however you want to say it. I went up to 30, clicked them all, and then went and did the 53 that it needed. But intake manifold has to go on first. Obviously, the carburetor's got to be fitted to that first. Put that on, torque those down. And then I slid these exhaust pipes in here and torqued them down to the specification listed in the book. The oil dipstick mounts to this side over here. The ground bolt I had to take off. And of course, fuel line, carburetor, and throttle. I think that's all I had to do to get all that off. It's simple, but it's a pain in the ass because everything's crammed in there or is in an awkward spot. I've done this 5 times now just because I can't get the old one to seal. All right, so something I want to mention here is that I actually did a valve adjustment on this machine prior to me making the video. And I also replaced the sight glass tube on the hydro unit. So other than that, what you're seeing is what I've done to it besides those 2 things.